So I'm a totally normal guy. I'm the normal one, maybe, if you want this. Yeah.
The philosophy of Jurgen is really, really special.
I know, and when I sit here in 4 years, I think we won 1 title in this time. It's not so important what people think when you come in. It's much more important what people think when you leave.
Life really cannot get better than that.
Can he tee up someone in red? In it goes towards Lovren!
Closest to Shankly.
He's won the European Cup for Liverpool!
It was like I knew him already for 10 years.
Corner taken quickly, Origi!
I ended up being deaf from 1 ear.
We're all sitting there, and you just heard this big booming Jurgen Klopp laugh.
And I believe the players were like that. Oh my God, what is happening here?
At one point I was literally driving to Formby to tell Jurgen that this wasn't going to happen.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've been told this big mad story of a mad fella who was sort of rock and roll and wears this rucksack and jumps into the crowd and you know what I mean, and like goes absolutely wild and all this.
I think the big abiding memory for me is when he walked into the room. You just sensed the presence.
Really tall fella. I kind of think everybody was surprised at the actual size of him, not just his stature as a person, but you know the aura that he carries when he walks into a room.
And he was so down to earth, and you know everybody, you know, remember that incredible I'm the normal one answer.
I'm a totally normal guy. I came from Black Forest. My mother maybe sit in front of the television and watch this press conference, understand no word until now. So but he's very proud. She's very proud. So I'm a totally normal guy. I'm the normal one, maybe, if you want this. Yeah.
We knew of him, you know. I honestly didn't think he'd have the impact that he's had. And at the time I was at Southampton, I was wishing he wouldn't have had the impact that he had, you know, because we had a couple of fantastic games with them.
He just gave that bit of hope that, you know, there's something going on there. He's going to turn it around for Liverpool, and like he's been the man to do it, where he's been that, you know, father and guided everyone in. I
just made up the fact that Liverpool Football Club I've supported all my life, you know, got the right man at the helm. Change needed to happen, and I always say that in the tenure that he's been here, he's proven to be the best, in my opinion, since the great Bill Shankly.
We were 2-1 down, and we scored that second goal to get the draw, and it was lining up in front of the Kop going, where are you? Stay with us, because we're on a special journey. I was working at Sky Soccer Saturday that day, and the guys on the panel ridiculed Jeff Stelling. Oh, shows you how low Liverpool have gone when they're celebrating a 2-2 draw with West Brom. Jeff, no it's not. This is for a reason. This is to show unity. This is to show togetherness. And this is believe.
You know, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. He knew exactly the message that he wanted to get over, and whether it be against West Brom, West Ham or whoever. You know, at the end of the day, it was his decision. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, and I have to say to you, it was momentous.
For Klopp, that was his message, to say, listen, if we stand together in this, and if we don't keep leaving 10, 15 minutes or 5 minutes before the final whistle has gone, we can do stuff together. We can do this together. We can win matches together.
He knew exactly the message, what he wanted to get across to our supporters, and that created the bond, that created the empathy, you know, that created the connection. It helped to create that for sure. And people can criticise and castigate all they like, but it was the right thing for Liverpool Football Club.
Can he tee up someone in red? In it goes towards Lovren! He's done it! Liverpool have come back from...
We knocked Man United out. Then we're drawn against Borussia Dortmund. They were the tournament favourites at the time. It was obviously Klopp's old club.
Dortmund and Liverpool are very alike. You never walk alone. We both sing it. So this German and this Scouser in him, he's like this German Scouser. He's brought that to Liverpool.
Dortmund arrived at Anfield, and this was the scene that welcomed the coach coming in.
Yeah.
How well do you remember that, and what was the reaction of all the staff, like that first time?
Yeah.
Some of the players maybe hadn't seen that before.
I know. It was like getting goosebumps, really, the way the people were shouting and singing and the aggression they gave, and that left really the place. And yeah, with the Dortmund game, I think was the first time for the boss probably it happened like that. And yeah, then he could see, like, you know, there is a lot hunger for the team to do something really, and the club was all the supporters are really hungry to win, and I think that is probably one of the first times he saw that probably on Anfield.
Just already before it kicked off, it was so special how we were literally shoulder by shoulder with the away fans singing together, you know, Walk Alone.
The opening 10 minutes were an absolute nightmare. With 2 goals down, we looked like the team Rodgers had left behind. And you're thinking, oh, it's a proper test now.
Divock Origi, as he does quite often in Liverpool history, comes up with a big goal, makes it 2-1. Okay, now we've got a little bit of hope. But then Dortmund go and make it 3-1, and obviously at the time you've got away goals.
The Reds needed 3 goals to win within 33 minutes, and they did it.
Can he tee up someone in red? In it goes towards Lovren. Oh, he's done it! Liverpool have got
But pops Dejan Lovren to write his place in an Anfield folklore and create, I would guess, the last great atmosphere of the old main stand.
Philippe Coutinho has issued Liverpool with an official transfer request.
You know, you're aware of the players' discontent, I guess, and eagerness. And look, you know, football is all about agents in the background and some of the dark forces that you know, have a vested interest in moving players around. And Philippe, as you remember, the little magician, was playing phenomenally well for us. But in the end, you know, he moved, and as everybody knows, I think that, you know, we got a very good price for him from Barcelona, and as a good business does, it reinvests those assets into the future.
Coutinho was an amazing player for Liverpool, and he made a difference, but it wasn't like he was the top scorer of England. If there's a player that doesn't want to play for Liverpool, then I don't want him here. So if he's thinking about leaving, then okay, he can leave, and we'll use the money for 2 good players, and then yeah, especially when they got Van Dijk, which we thought already was good enough to play for Liverpool, and I was also happy with Alisson. So yeah, no, I think at the end. I didn't want Coutinho to leave, but when he did, and we got Alisson and Van Dijk, I was like, okay, can still build on a good team.
They certainly were the two main ingredients to confirm the success of the journey that Jurgen had taken us on. I'd worked with Virgil at Southampton, as I'd worked with Sadio Mane, who was also another important piece of the puzzle here at Liverpool, you know.
We had some challenges outside, if you recall, with the Man City bus coming in. I will tell you that we offered Man City a different route to come in actually around the back and walk around the pitch so that we didn't have those challenges, because we didn't actually want to bring them up. I guess it would be Priory Road and around the Arkles there. So my memories, unfortunately, are clouded by that, having to go to apologise to the Manchester City executives who were also caught up in that. Look, there wasn't a huge amount of damage and nobody got hurt, thank goodness, but, you know, it just was not a great way to start that evening, given, you know, the importance of that game. And it turned out very well for us, obviously.
Obviously, City was already a massive team then, you know, and playing good football, and they probably were quite a bit ahead at that moment compared to us, because we were still in a moving forward way, if you like, with the boss, try to implement all his tactics and way of play and change players around and stuff.
At that point, we were still not solid enough in defence, and we were still really relying on Mo Salah to be the main man in front of the goal.
We were flying, I think, in that game.
Man City come to Anfield in the Champions League quarter-final, and after half an hour they're 3-0 down. I think Man City have been to Anfield how many times over the years, but they've never been on a European night, and I think they realised that night it was different.
And we even went to the Etihad and beat them there. Pep seems to have forgotten that.
It was absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of my favourite aways in God knows how many years. Do you know what I mean? Just because of that arrogance and you know that you were just going to rock up and we're going to win everything. No, you're not. In a bit, you're out.
Madrid in the final. How confident were you? What was the feeling around the club internally?
Having lived through Kiev, you know, you knew it was coming back with a vengeance the following year, and everything we've been through. When you think about, you know, Barcelona and everything we have been through there, and all of the banana skins we could have stood on, you know, Bayern Munich, and I think about that whole lead into that.
And I think Barcelona was a result of the unfair final in Kiev. I went to Camp Nou and saw the first leg, and the result didn't pay justice to how well we actually played that night.
I'd wanted to see Messi in the flesh in the Nou Camp, so I was delighted with a draw. But by full time, I'm thinking that's not the way that I wanted to see Messi in the Nou Camp. You know, Liverpool never deserved to lose that game 3-0. Thank God Alisson was encouraged not to go all the way up for the corner right at the end there, because had he actually gone up, I think Dembele basically ends up with an open goal, and it would have been 4-0, and that really would have been even insurmountable for Liverpool, I think, at that point.
I was not here still in that moment because I arrived that summer after that, but obviously I watched from the distance, and then when I start meeting the teammate and start personally is having conversation with Jurgen and the staff, talking about that game, was not even the team could believe that, but they were fighting until the end. They were just giving their best.
Mo's missing through concussion, Bobby can't play, so you're thinking like, well, okay, we've got to try and beat Barcelona, Messi, Suarez, Coutinho, and up front we've got Shaqiri, Origi and Manny, and you're thinking, that is going to be tricky.
I think what a lot of people forget as well is Shaqiri hadn't started a game for 4 months at this point. Andy Robertson ends up going off injured, so James Milner goes to left back. Jordan Henderson is injured, and at half-time, he's not even in the changing room, he's in a separate room on a bike to keep his knee from seizing up.
Then you think, oof, now it's going to be tough, but then the boss basically said, you know, he had, like, before the game, I know everyone writes us off really, but I have faith and belief in you.
Yeah, we score early on, and you think, aye. And we didn't score again till after half time. You're thinking, chances gone. And all of a sudden, we're 3-3. The corner taken quickly.
Corner taken quickly, Origi! Yeah! He's given it! Yeah! Unbelievable!
I was hot, I was cold. I ended up being deaf on one ear afterwards because one of my mates screamed so loudly into my ear.
When the whistle went, the joy in the place was just unbelievable. but you never walk alone. You sometimes do at the end of a game, not very often, but that was the night for it. And obviously, you know, everybody lined up in front of the Kop and sang along.
Yeah, nice picture that, huh? I saw one of them like full length. We have it in Anfield hanging.
I'm waiting for everybody to go home. I think, well, you know, the squad had gone off the pitch and nobody was moving. And I think, basically, I've been right through my playlist. And I reached for my, in those days, I used to have a little pile of CDs. Grabbed the first one off the pile, and there was Imagine. And I thought, this is perfect. Put it on, fully expecting people to drift away, because it's not exactly a tub-thumping song. And instead, everybody joined in and started singing.
Then it was on to Madrid to play Tottenham.
Once you got to Madrid, and you knew, as did every Liverpool fan, this was our time.
It was such a great day. I mean, we painted Madrid red, but it was so hot. The sun was so strong. It was amazing, with all those thousands and thousands. It was just like an ocean of fans. I've never seen anything like that.
But we were very fortunate to get a very early penalty, and I think that settled things down. Wasn't the greatest of finals, but who cares? I think that moment when the ball hit the back of the net, little layoff from Matip and Divock, as he always does, just stepping up at the right time in the right situation. And there was this sense of both joy, relief, and this weight off our shoulders that had been dumped on us from the previous year in Kiev when we got so close and, yeah, it didn't quite happen.
To be able to see us win, you know, the biggest trophy there is to win in the biggest, as a club, in the biggest sport in the world, it was amazing.
And Liverpool are the 2019 FIFA Club World Cup winners.
Whoever imagined watching Liverpool in Qatar, in Doha?
We were there in Doha fighting for that, playing against the best team in the world. We deserve to be there.
The night before the match was one of the most surreal I've ever had following Liverpool, because we were in a dry Muslim country at a fan park, organised a boss nights, watching the likenesses drinking beer. Now, that wasn't something I expected, got to be honest, when we went out there. The atmosphere was incredible. It wasn't just the Liverpool fans who made it, the Flamingo fans were brilliant. I mean, they travelled in mass numbers, because if they'd won that game, it would have been the greatest season in their history. They'd have done the treble.
It was a special one because I remember that Bobby goal that everyone that was on the bench, I was running like hell to the corner or celebrating that goal. So at the end of the day, will be another massive experience for everyone, for Jurgen, for the players that we were there in the squad, for the club as well, to collecting that big title and having it in the cabinet.
You were on the bench a couple of days later, literally, for the game against Leicester on Boxing Day away from home, and it was, people kind of look back at it now, and the reason why it's in our list of memorable games on the Jurgen is because it was such a quality performance throughout the team.
Many people were talking about we were still celebrating, we were drinking a lot from that moment, but it wasn't like that. The celebration was very light. I can't tell you the truth, it was really light there in the hotel after the game. There's always a nice dinner and a couple of glass of wine, but not much, because we knew we have to carry on in the Premier League.
The party's not done till the right time. You know, I can guarantee you that at any time of his tenure, because he loves life, and you can get that he loves life, but it's only at the right time, you know, and he'll prepare his lads knowing that they had a job to do. Because at this football club, you're always striving for more.
I think when Jurgen Klopp was appointed, if you'd said to me on Boxing Day 2019, Liverpool will go to Leicester as world champions, be top of the league playing Brendan Rodgers, second in the league, Foxes, I wouldn't have believed you. We went to Leicester and thrashed them. We were dominant. You know, Trent Alexander-Arnold probably put in the best individual display from a Liverpool right back I've ever seen. You know, his goal capped it off, but his passing and everything that night was magnificent. And we looked every inch league champions on Boxing Day, every inch. 4-0, could have been more, arguably. Leicester were a good side, but they were put in the place. And I think from that moment on, we never looked back.
Champions again, Liverpool.
Great feeling to win the Premier League, to be involved in the squad. Or in my personal case, obviously being big part at the beginning of the season, as Ali got injured, I had to play all these first few games.
They were unstoppable, and they played such high intensity football, and that cost a lot of energy. We had such a huge lead. It was just a great time to be a Red, and then obviously it was a horrible time to be a Red, not to be able to see the remaining of that season and be there when they lifted that trophy.
What was the planning around the trophy presentation?
Obviously we were playing Chelsea, we knew what was going to happen. There was a plan that we believed as a football club that we had the green light to bring family members in. That morning, all of that seemed to have gone sideways, with a misunderstanding, if I recall, of what level 3 protocols were. My entire day was spent working, trying to get all the way up to 10 Downing Street, but certainly working with DCMS, the Premier League, Liverpool City Council, and in particular Tony Reeves, who was the CEO at the time, going above and beyond. We weren't going to get a safety certificate that day without adhering to protocols. Plans were put in place at one point to have the families sit outside in buses and watch the game and then celebrate with the families. We had a breakthrough at about 4 o'clock, back into with both the Premier League and, more importantly, the local city council, police, to get a safety certificate that would allow us to have the families out of view, but in the stadium, watching the game, and then to be able to celebrate with players and coaching staff afterwards. That was a very difficult day, and at one point I was literally driving to Formby to tell Jurgen that this wasn't going to happen, and like I say, at about 4 o'clock we had a breakthrough.
So I was one of the, I think it was 250 people that under the government rules were allowed in the red zone for match day. So I was in the press box, I had an entire row to myself, and it was kind of like the most, I don't know, surreal night I would say I've ever had at Anfield, because you had to make it different. You couldn't just have them in the middle of the pitch on a podium with nobody there. So I think the idea to do the presentation on the Kop was a good one. It put the trophy where the fans would be and kept part of the collectiveness of the club, which has underpinned the Klopp era.
It was really a strange situation, and have to celebrate a title without a fan was strange and really difficult, but yeah, we celebrate as much as possible, as we share with the fan as well, lifting the empty cup, the trophy for all the world. We felt with great company, even with the empty stadium, because we knew all the Liverpool fans were sitting at home, cheering with us and shouting and celebrating.
To have Sir Kenny presenting it, you know, the last manager to have lifted a league as long ago as 1990, was a stroke of genius to have him. But it was odd. Like I remember filming it on my phone when they were stood on the Kop. And you know, you lift the league title, you want to hug your mate, you want to shake hands, you want to jump up and down, you want to celebrate. I was just stood on my own on the back row of the press box, like whooping a bit.
We've never experienced in Liverpool's history a season where you compete for all the 4 possible trophies to the very last kick of the ball, you know, and we lost both the league and Champions League, not by just 1 point, if you like, but 1 goal. It was the smallest possible margin to lose a league and the Champions League. And the Champions League was just such an anticlimax. You know, the result didn't really matter after what we went through as fans being in Paris.
We get the parade after winning the FA Cup, the League Cup, but obviously defeat in Paris. What was it like being on that bus, that parade? There's some great photos of you taking selfies with your shades on, everything like that, and to see so many fans come out, even though the night before we had just lost the Champions League final.
When we went to the bus and we start seeing people, more Liverpool fans, and we go to the center, more and more and more. So could you imagine that the people have that switch off of feeling as well, like with us. We felt like we were devastated after a final that we lost, but then just maybe 24 hours later, everyone was celebrating like, okay, you deserve as well, and we did well. We won the 2 cup.
You always need to celebrate it. And I get it, if you maybe win the League Cup, that is not on your agenda. And I get that. That may sound and sort of defeatist, because like, it's only the League Cup. But listen, this is Liverpool Football Club. This is losing in Paris. This was showing togetherness. This was showing us in our best light when you lose.
Nothing surprised me with our fans. Nothing. I kid you not, we're all in this together. They know that. Success and failure. And by the way, it's been a lot of success. The mere fact that we lost one, you know, that's by the by. And we love to celebrate our success.
When things go wrong, this is when we stand up. This is when we pull together, and this is showing that we all care. And I think that day was just absolutely. And I believe the players were like that. Oh my God, what is happening here? We've lost the final. Some of them might have just been looking at it because we'd lost against Real Madrid. I know these come out to what we are and what we stand for.
I will leave the club at the end of the season. Hello.
That Friday morning, seeing Klopp say, "I'll be leaving the club at the end of the season," it was heartbreaking. Like, I was really devastated, because growing up, yeah, I knew bits about Kenny, I knew bits about Brendan Rodgers, but my era has been this amazing Klopp era.
I was on my way to Nottingham, believe it or not, and believe it or not, I have classic FM on in the car, you know, believe it or not. So, and next day I get a phone call, and it's my close friend who said, "Have you heard the news?" I said, "Well," and I had to pull over to the side. I was shocked.
When I heard Jurgen was leaving, I felt like those kids being told on Granada News in the 70s that Bill Shankly was going.
You're having me on, aren't you? No, I'm not having you. I've just been to Anfield, honest.
I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. I thought it was a joke.
With all the responsibility you have in this job and these kind of things, you have to be absolutely top of your own game. I realized that my resources are not endless, and I preferred to pack absolutely everything in this season. I don't take these kind of things lightly. So I'm convinced it's right, and that's why I said it.
Shout from the rooftops, let it out. He's the one our life's about. From the prison walls of fear and death, he's come to break us out. In the streets we're singing now, for he's come to show us how great the Father's love is, and that it'll work itself all out. Feel it rising,
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.